The school board hearing room fell silent as Nadine Washington approached the microphone. Her weathered hands gripped the podium. Across the room, her husband Clifford's face drained of color.
You called me worthless, Clifford. Said I never paid attention to anything that mattered. But I see everything. Every Tuesday afternoon, when you parked in the school bus only zone at the Sunset Lodge, I was dropping children at stop 3 across the street. Every single time.
Mildred Washington clutched her walker, her sharp tongue finally frozen. The projection screen lit up with the first image. Clifford's truck, clearly visible, illegally parked. 3 months earlier, on a rain-soaked March night, everything had begun. Nadine had spotted that familiar truck pulling into the motel parking lot. Then came Mildred's call.
"He's with me tonight, dear. Don't trouble yourself with that scattered brain of yours."
But Nadine had heard it. Another phone ringing in the background. The first lie in 42 years of marriage.
You thought I was dying inside. Thought I'd fade away quietly while you stole everything. But every dispatch log, every bus camera, every route I drove became my witness. This isn't just about parking violations. This is about fraud, theft, and the mistake you made, thinking a school bus monitor sees nothing.
The evidence would destroy them all. The revenge had just begun. 3 months before the hearing that would destroy everything, Nadine Washington's life followed a predictable rhythm. Every morning at 5:30, the alarm clock buzzed in the small bedroom of the house on Maple Street. Every morning, she reached across the cold space where warmth used to be.
Clifford, you awake?
No answer. The bathroom door stood open, the bed beside her undisturbed. Again. Nadine pulled her worn robe around her shoulders and padded to the kitchen. The coffee maker gurgled to life, the only conversation in a house that had forgotten how to speak. Through the window, March rain drummed against the glass, the kind of cold drizzle that seeped into aging bones. At 6:15, she climbed aboard the yellow school bus at the depot, nodding to Tom, the driver she'd worked with for 8 years.
"Morning, Nadine. Rough night?"
Just the usual. These old bones don't like the rain.
She settled into her monitor's seat behind Tom, pulling out her clipboard with the day's route. Stop 1 through stop 14. Same as always. The names of 43 children memorized, their allergies noted, their moods anticipated. This was her domain, where she mattered. The first pickup was at 6:40. The Henderson twins bounced aboard, followed by quiet Maya, who always sat in row 3. By 7:15, the bus hummed with drowsy conversation. Nadine watched them all, counting heads, checking seatbelts, being the invisible guardian nobody thanked but everyone expected.
"Miss Nadine, can I move seats?"
After stop 7, honey. You know the rules.
Rules, structure, order. The things that kept the world spinning when everything else felt like it was falling apart. At stop 3, across from the Sunset Lodge, she noticed something that made her pause. A familiar blue pickup truck sat in the motel parking lot. Clifford's truck. But he'd said he was meeting his friend Dale for an early fishing trip. The truck shouldn't be there. She looked away. Marriage meant trust, even when trust felt like swallowing glass. That evening, dinner was silent. Clifford pushed his meatloaf around the plate, his eyes focused somewhere beyond the faded wallpaper.
How was fishing?
"What? Oh, fine. Didn't catch much.
Dale usually has better luck at the reservoir.
We went to the river instead."
The river that had been closed for repairs for 3 weeks. Nadine knew because she drove past the construction signs every day on Route 6. She said nothing. After 42 years, she'd learned which battles were worth fighting. This wasn't one of them. Yet, the phone rang at 8:30. Clifford was in the garage, supposedly organizing tools. Nadine picked up the receiver.
"Is Cliff there?"
The voice was young, breathy, wrong.
Who's calling?
A click, dial tone. Nadine stared at the phone as if it might explain itself. When Clifford came back inside, she mentioned the call. He shrugged, said it was probably a wrong number. His eyes didn't meet hers. Friday arrived with another empty bed. Clifford's bowling night had somehow extended into the early morning hours. Again. At 2 a.m, Nadine finally called his cell phone. No answer. She tried again at 2:30. Nothing. Fear and anger wrestled in her chest. She dialed the one person who always knew where Clifford was. His mother, Mildred Washington, answered on the third ring, her voice surprisingly alert for the late hour.
Nadine, what are you calling for at this hour?
I'm looking for Clifford. He hasn't come home.
Well, of course not. He's here with me. Had some trouble with his truck and decided to stay over. Honestly, Nadine, you need to stop being so paranoid. It's unbecoming.
Relief should have flooded through her. Instead, something else happened. In the background of Mildred's call, clear as day, another phone rang. The distinctive double ring of Mildred's landline. But Mildred was already on that line, talking to her.
I have to go, dear. Try not to let that scattered brain of yours create problems where there aren't any.
The line went dead. Nadine stood in her dark kitchen, the phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the dial tone. Mildred had lied. After all these years of criticism, manipulation, and casual cruelty, this was different. This was conspiracy. Saturday morning brought Clifford home, smelling of soap that wasn't theirs and offering explanations nobody had asked for. His truck had broken down. Mildred had been having one of her episodes. The nursing home had called him. Lie after lie, each one more elaborate than the last. Nadine made breakfast and listened to his stories. She smiled and nodded and played the role of the trusting wife. But something had shifted in the darkness of that Friday night. The invisible woman had started taking notes. She began small. A notebook hidden in the laundry room behind the detergent. Dates, times, inconsistencies. The truck at the Sunset Lodge appeared again the following Tuesday, and the Tuesday after that. Always during her stop 3 run. Always in the same spot. Always when Clifford claimed to be somewhere else. At church on Sunday, Nadine sat next to Eugene Miller, the retired detective who led their Bible study group. They'd known each other for 15 years, ever since his wife had passed, and he'd started attending regularly.
You seem troubled, Nadine.
Just tired, Eugene. The job, the house, you know how it is.
I do, but tired looks different from worried. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. Sometimes it helps to share the load.
She almost told him then. Almost spilled everything right there in the third pew. But shame held her tongue. How do you tell someone that your life is a lie? That the man you've loved for 4 decades might be someone you never really knew? The next week brought a credit card statement. Charges at restaurants she'd never been to. A jewelry store purchase for $300. When she asked Clifford about it, he claimed it was identity theft. He'd handle it, he said. Don't worry about it. But worry was all Nadine had left. She started paying attention in ways she never had before. The receipts in his pockets before she did laundry. The mileage on his truck. The excuses that didn't add up. Every day on her bus route, she watched and cataloged. Stop 3 became her observation post. The Sunset Lodge, her study in betrayal. One afternoon, after dropping the children at Stop 3, she saw more than just Clifford's truck. She saw him. Walking from the motel room, his arm around a younger woman. Blonde. Laughing. Alive in a way Nadine hadn't seen him in years. The woman kissed him before getting into a red Honda. Clifford watched her drive away, then got in his truck and left. Nadine sat in the school bus, her hands steady on her clipboard, marking off children who were all safely delivered. Tom glanced at her in the rearview mirror.
You okay back there?
Fine, just making sure I have the right count.
That night, She added new information to her notebook. The woman, the red Honda, the license plate she'd memorized, the motel room number, the time. Every detail that would matter when the time came. Because there would be a time. The invisible woman was learning to see everything. Clifford came home that evening whistling. He pecked her cheek, complimented the pot roast, and settled into his recliner with the remote. Just another Tuesday in their life together. Except Nadine now knew that every Tuesday at 2:30, her husband became someone else, someone who laughed with blonde women in motel parking lots.
How was your day?
The usual. Helped Dale fix his fence. That storm last week did a number on it.
Dale, who'd been in Florida for 2 weeks visiting his daughter. Nadine knew because Dale's wife had mentioned it at the grocery store. Another lie, another note in her book. That night, unable to sleep, she stood at the bedroom window watching the rain. The same cold March rain that had started all of this. In the darkness, she made a decision. She wouldn't be the woman who looked away anymore. She wouldn't be invisible in her own life. Tomorrow, she would start gathering evidence. Real evidence. The kind that would stand up to scrutiny. Because Mildred had been wrong about one thing. Nadine's brain wasn't scattered. It was finally, perfectly, dangerously focused. The school bus monitor who saw Eve. In the garage, she heard Clifford's phone buzz. He'd left it on his workbench again. The screen lit up with a text. Just 3 words that changed everything. Miss you already. From someone named M. Nadine went back to bed, her notebook tucked safely in its hiding place. Tomorrow she would drive her route. Tomorrow she would watch Stop 3. Tomorrow she would begin to build the case that would bring them all down. The invisible woman had found her purpose. The quiet revolution had begun. 2 weeks had passed since Nadine discovered the text message. 2 weeks of pretending nothing had changed while everything had. She moved through her days like an actress in her own life, smiling at Clifford over breakfast, waving at neighbors, monitoring children on the bus. But underneath, she was building her case. On a gray Tuesday morning, she made her decision. After dropping the last child at school, she asked Tom for a favor.
I need to stop at the district office. Got some paperwork about the safety protocols.
Sure thing. I'll wait in the lot.
The school district office housed more than just administrative papers. It managed all the transportation records, including the security footage from bus-mounted cameras and nearby traffic monitoring systems. Nadine had worked there long enough to know the protocols.
Morning, Janet. I need to file a safety concern report.
Oh no, what happened? Are the kids okay?
They're fine, but I've noticed suspicious vehicles near Stop 3. Same blue pickup, multiple times. Parked in the bus loading zone. Could be a safety issue.
Janet's fingers flew across the keyboard. In the world of school transportation, safety concerns triggered immediate action. Within minutes, Nadine had official forms to fill out, and more importantly, legitimate access to review footage.
You'll need to review the tapes to identify the specific incidents for the report. Policy says you can go back 90 days.
That should be enough.
The viewing room was small and windowless. Nadine sat before the monitor, her notebook ready. The first footage was from 3 weeks ago. There it was. Clifford's truck, clear as day, parked in the school bus only zone. Timestamp 2:37 p.m. She photographed the screen with the disposable camera she'd bought with cash. She found 12 incidents in total, every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. Always the same pattern, always the same violations. But more importantly, the cameras had captured something else. The woman. The blonde from the parking lot now had a face, clear and identifiable. Nadine recognized her. Marla Hutchings from the credit union. The one who'd helped them refinance their mortgage just last year. Back home that evening, Nadine served dinner as usual. Clifford talked about the game on television, complained about the neighbor's dog, acted like a man with nothing to hide.
You're quiet tonight.
Just tired. Long day with the kids.
You worked too hard on that bus. Should think about retiring.
Retiring, so she'd be home all day with nothing to do and nowhere to go. So she'd have no reason to be out, no access to the resources she needed. She smiled and passed the potatoes.
Maybe next year?
That night, while Clifford snored beside her, she reviewed their bank statements by flashlight in the bathroom. 300 here, 500 there. Always withdrawn from ATMs near the Sunset Lodge. Always on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The pattern was so obvious, she wondered how she'd missed it before. Or maybe she hadn't missed it. Maybe she'd chosen not to see. Sunday brought an unexpected development. At church, Eugene Miller approached her after service.
Nadine, I hope I'm not overstepping, but I saw Clifford's truck at an unusual spot last week. The Sunset Lodge area. Just wanted to make sure everything's all right.
The words hung between them. Eugene's eyes were kind, but knowing. He'd been a detective for 30 years. He saw things others missed.
I appreciate your concern, Eugene. Things are complicated right now.
If you need help navigating those complications, I know a thing or two about gathering information properly. Legal ways. Ways that hold up.
He pressed a business card into her hand. His old card from the force, with his personal number written on the back.
Sometimes it helps to have someone who understands the system. Call if you need anything at all.
Monday brought a call from Mildred. Her voice dripped with false sweetness through the phone.
Nadine, dear, I need you to come by the nursing home tomorrow. We need to discuss some family matters.
What kind of matters?
Financial things. About the house, actually. Clifford should have discussed it with you, but you know how men are with these details.
The house, their house, the one thing Nadine's name was on, her only security. Her hand tightened on the receiver.
I'll be there after my shift.
Wonderful. And dear, come alone. No need to bother Clifford with this.
The nursing home smelled of industrial disinfectant and cafeteria food. Mildred's room was on the 3rd floor, the expensive wing with garden views. She sat in her wheelchair like a queen on a throne, perfectly styled despite her 90 years.
Ah, Nadine, please sit. We have much to discuss.
On the table lay a stack of legal documents. Mildred's gnarled fingers tapped them.
I've been thinking about the family's future. My future. Clifford's future. The house needs to be transferred to his name alone. For tax purposes, you understand.
I don't understand at all.
Of course you don't. That's why I'm explaining it simply. Sign here, and Clifford can manage everything. You won't have to worry your head about complex financial matters anymore.
The threat was subtle but clear. Sign or else. Nadine looked at the papers. Power of attorney forms, quit-claim deeds, documents that would erase her from her own life.
I need to review these with a lawyer first.
Mildred's face hardened, the mask slipping.
A lawyer? Whatever for? We're family. Unless you don't trust your own husband. Unless you're planning something. Are you planning something, Nadine?
I'm planning to read any legal document before I sign it. That's just common sense.
Common sense. From a woman who drives a bus for a living. How amusing.
Nadine stood, leaving the papers untouched.
I'll let you know my decision after I've had time to review everything properly.
You do that. But remember, Nadine, I know things about you, about your little investigations. Clifford mentioned you've been asking strange questions, acting paranoid. At your age, such behavior could be concerning. Medical concerning, if you understand me.
The threat was no longer subtle. Mildred was suggesting they'd have her declared mentally incompetent. Nadine's heart raced, but her voice stayed steady.
I understand perfectly. Have a nice day, Mildred.
That evening, she called Eugene Miller. They met at a small cafe downtown, away from familiar eyes.
These are serious documents. She's trying to strip you of your legal rights. And this timing, with what you've discovered about Clifford, isn't coincidental.
What can I do? If they claim I'm unstable?
Then we document everything, every conversation, every threat, every piece of evidence. Build a case so solid that no one could question your mental capacity. In fact, we'll prove you're the only one seeing clearly.
He pulled out a small recorder.
Keep this with you. If legal in your state, record conversations. If not, take detailed notes immediately after. Times, dates, exact words. And Nadine. Start looking into Mildred's finances. If she's pushing this hard, she's hiding something.
Tuesday arrived with its familiar pattern. But this time, Nadine was ready. She had Tom drop her at the district office again, claiming more paperwork. Instead, she walked 3 blocks to the public library and used their computer to search public records. What she found made her stomach turn. Mildred was listed as conservator for her younger sister, Agnes, who lived in a memory care facility 2 towns over. Agnes, who'd inherited a substantial sum from her late husband. Agnes, whose signature appeared on documents dated just last month, despite the facility records showing she'd been nonverbal for a year. The pieces clicked together. Mildred wasn't just helping Clifford hide an affair. She was running her own scam, and she needed Nadine out of the way to complete it. The affair was just convenient cover, a way to destabilize Nadine while they moved the money. That night, Clifford came home late again. He smelled of perfume and lies.
Mom called. Said you were rude to her today. She's trying to help us, Nadine. Help secure our future.
Whose future, Clifford? Mine or yours?
His face darkened.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means I'm not signing anything. Not now, not ever.
We'll see about that.
He stormed to the garage, leaving Nadine alone in the kitchen. She pulled out her notebook and wrote down every word, every threat, every revelation. The evidence was mounting. The case was building. The invisible woman was becoming dangerous. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Just 4 words that changed the game entirely. She's stealing from Agnes. Nadine stared at the message. Someone else knew. Someone else was watching. She wasn't alone in this fight after all. The anonymous text haunted Nadine for 3 days before she decided to act. Someone knew about Agnes. Someone was watching Mildred just as carefully as she was. On a cold Thursday morning, she found another message slipped under her windshield wiper at the school depot. The note was typed, simple, Riverside Memory Care, Room 47. Ask about the signature cards. A friend. After her morning route, Nadine drove to Riverside Memory Care, 2 towns over. The facility was smaller than Mildred's nursing home, older, with peeling paint and tired staff. At the reception desk, she asked to visit Agnes Washington.
Are you family?
I'm her niece, Nadine. I haven't been able to visit as often as I'd like.
The receptionist checked her computer, then frowned.
That's odd. According to this, Mrs. Washington's only approved visitor is her sister Mildred. But she hasn't been here in months.
Months, but I thought, has anyone else asked about her recently?
Actually, yes. A woman from Adult Protective Services was here last week. Asked a lot of questions about signatures and visitors. Is everything all right?
Adult Protective Services. Someone had already started an investigation. Nadine's pulse quickened.
Could I just see her for a moment? I brought her favorite flowers.
The receptionist softened and led her down a narrow hallway. Room 47 was small, but clean. Agnes Washington lay in the bed, her eyes vacant, her hands folded over a worn quilt. She looked nothing like the sharp, witty woman Nadine remembered from family gatherings years ago.
She doesn't speak anymore. Hasn't for about 14 months. The dementia progressed quickly after her fall.
14 months, but there are documents with her signature from last month.
The nurse's expression hardened.
That's impossible. Agnes can't even hold a pen, can barely lift her hand to her mouth. What documents?
Financial ones, power of attorney changes, property transfers.
You need to talk to the APS investigator. Here, I have her card.
Dorothy Coleman, Adult Protective Services. The same initials as the anonymous text. DC, Nadine pocketed the card. Back in her car, she called the number. A professional voice answered.
Dorothy Coleman.
This is Nadine Washington. I think you've been trying to reach me.
Mrs. Washington. Yes. We need to talk, but not over the phone. Can you meet me at the county courthouse tomorrow? Bring any financial documents you have regarding Mildred Washington and her sister Agnes.
The next morning, Nadine told Tom she had a doctor's appointment and met Dorothy Coleman in a small conference room at the courthouse. Dorothy was younger than expected, maybe 40, with keen eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses.
Mrs. Washington, I've been investigating your mother-in-law for 3 months. What started as a routine check became something much larger. Agnes Washington's estate, worth approximately $800,000, has been systematically drained.
800,000? We had no idea she had that much.
Her late husband's life insurance and investments. Money that should be paying for her care is instead funding something else. The trail leads to several accounts, but I need more evidence to prove Mildred is behind it. That's where you come in.
Dorothy spread several documents on the table: bank statements, forged signatures, property transfers.
She's been careful, but not careful enough. The problem is, she's trying to cover her tracks now. These documents you mentioned, the ones she wanted you to sign, they'd make you complicit. Or worse, they'd frame you for everything.
The room seemed to spin. Nadine gripped the table edge.
Frame me?
Your name is already on several preliminary documents as a witness. Documents you've never seen. If she completes this transfer with your forged signature, you become the primary suspect when Agnes's money disappears. Mildred walks free, and you take the fall.
The depth of the betrayal hit like a physical blow. This wasn't just about Clifford's affair or taking the house. This was about destroying her completely.
What do you need from me?
Everything. Every piece of evidence about Clifford's affair. Every financial irregularity. Every conversation with Mildred. We build a case showing the whole conspiracy. The affair is just a distraction from the real crime.
That evening, Nadine met Eugene at his house, a modest ranch on the quiet side of town. She brought her notebook, her photos, everything she'd gathered. Dorothy Coleman joined them, and together they laid out the evidence on Eugene's dining room table.
This is bigger than I thought. The affair with Marla isn't just personal. Look at these withdrawals. They match deposits into an account Mildred controls.
Clifford is funneling money from your joint accounts to his mother. She's using it to maintain her lifestyle while draining Agnes's estate for the bigger score.
Marla works at the credit union. She'd have access to facilitate all of this.
We need one of them to turn, to testify against the others.
Dorothy pulled out a manila folder.
I might have leverage. Marla Hutchings has her own secrets. 2 years ago, she was investigated for embezzlement at her previous job in Nevada. Charges were dropped when the money was mysteriously returned. If she's involved in this, it's a pattern. We could offer her a deal.
The sound of Nadine's phone broke the planning session. Clifford calling. She let it go to voicemail, but he called again immediately.
I should answer. He'll get suspicious.
She stepped into Eugene's kitchen and answered.
Where are you? You're not at your doctor's appointment. I called to check.
He'd been checking up on her, the hunter becoming the hunted.
I finished early. Stopped to see a friend from church.
Which friend?
Does it matter? I'll be home soon.
Mom wants to see you tomorrow. She says you'll sign those papers, or we'll have to explore other options.
Other options?
Dr. Brennan thinks your paranoid behavior might indicate early dementia. He's willing to evaluate you, for your own good.
Dr. Brennan, Mildred's personal physician who'd do anything for the right price. The trap was closing.
I'll think about it.
You do that, and Nadine, come home, now.
The threat in his voice was unmistakable. She hung up and returned to the dining room.
We're running out of time.
I can file for an emergency protective order for Agnes. but I need more concrete evidence linking Mildred to the forged signatures.
What if I wore a wire? Got her to admit it?
Too dangerous. If they're threatening involuntary commitment, they're desperate.
There might be another way. The school board hearing next month. You file a formal complaint about the parking violations. It seems minor, but it gets everyone in a public forum under oath.
They'd never expect it, using something so small to expose something so big.
It's brilliant. They can't claim you're crazy for following proper channels about a legitimate safety concern.
Nadine drove home with a new sense of purpose. She wasn't alone anymore. She had allies, a plan, and most importantly, she understood the full scope of what she was fighting. Clifford waited in the kitchen, his face dark with suspicion.
Eugene Miller's house. That's where you were.
He'd followed her, or had her followed.
Yes, Bible study planning.
Don't lie to me, Nadine. I know you've been snooping around, asking questions, making trouble.
Trouble? I'm trying to...
His hand slammed on the table.
Because you're suffocating me. 42 years of your weakness, your neediness. A man needs room to breathe.
With Marla? Is that what you call breathing room?
The color drained from his face. She'd played her card too early, but it was out there now.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Tuesday afternoons at the Sunset Lodge. Thursday evenings when you're supposedly bowling. I know everything, Clifford.
He stood slowly, his size suddenly menacing in the small kitchen.
You know nothing. And if you're smart, you'll keep it that way. Sign Mom's papers, Nadine, or things will get very unpleasant for you.
He left the room, and she heard him on the phone in the garage, reporting to Mildred, no doubt. The battle lines were drawn. Tomorrow, she would file the complaint with the school board. The war was about to begin. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Dorothy. We found something. Mildred has plane tickets, one way to Costa Rica. Departure date, 2 weeks from today. She's planning to run. 2 weeks. That's all the time they had to stop her. To save Agnes's estate, to preserve Nadine's freedom. The clock was ticking faster than any of them had realized. The morning of the school board hearing arrived with unseasonable warmth for late May. Nadine dressed carefully in her best navy suit, the one she'd worn to her mother's funeral 5 years ago. Professional, but not threatening. Respectable, but not wealthy. The invisible woman preparing to become very visible indeed. Eugene picked her up at 7. Clifford had left early, claiming he didn't know anything about a hearing. But his truck was already in the school board parking lot when they arrived, parked next to a familiar red Honda. Marla's car.
They're all here. Good. Dorothy has the federal investigators on standby.
Federal?
Wire fraud across state lines. The moment Mildred transferred money from Nevada, she made it federal. Dorothy's been busy.
The hearing room was fuller than expected. Word had spread through the district about the bus monitor filing safety complaints. Parents had come, concerned about their children. Perfect. The more witnesses, the better. Mildred sat in her wheelchair in the front row, her expression serene, playing the fragile elderly woman perfectly. Clifford sat beside her, his jaw clenched. Marla was 2 rows back, trying to look inconspicuous. The school board president, Dr. Patricia Holmes, called the hearing to order.
We're here to address safety concerns raised by Mrs. Nadine Washington regarding repeated parking violations in designated school bus zones. Mrs. Washington, please present your evidence.
Nadine walked to the podium, her folder of evidence steady in her hands. The microphone waited. This was the moment from her flash-forward vision, but now she understood its full weight.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes. For the past 3 months, I've documented systematic violations of school bus safety zones. These aren't random incidents, but a pattern of deliberate disregard for student safety.
She opened her folder and began distributing copies of photographs to the board members.
Exhibit A, blue pickup truck, license plate clearly visible, parked in the school bus only zone at the Sunset Lodge. Date, March 15th, 2:37 p.m. Exhibit B, same truck, March 22nd, same time, same location.
Clifford shifted in his seat. Mildred's hand gripped her chair arm.
Mrs. Washington, these photos show clear violations. Who owns this vehicle?
The truck is registered to my husband, Clifford Washington.
Murmurs rippled through the room. Dr. Holmes looked confused.
Your husband. Why would you file a complaint against your own husband?
Because the law doesn't exempt family members. And because these violations are part of a larger pattern of deception that threatens not just student safety, but the financial security of vulnerable elderly residents in our community.
This is ridiculous. She's having some kind of breakdown.
Dr. Holmes raised her hand for silence.
Mr. Washington, you'll have your opportunity to respond. Mrs. Washington, please continue.
Nadine pulled out the CCTV footage stills.
The district's own cameras confirm the pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 months, but that's not all they show. They also captured Mr. Washington entering the Sunset Lodge with a woman who is not his wife.
She placed a clear photo on the projector. Clifford and Marla embracing in the parking lot.
This woman is Marla Hutchings, an employee at First National Credit Union, where she's had unusual access to our accounts.
I don't have to listen to this.
Marla stood to leave, but Dorothy Coleman entered the room with 2 federal agents.
Actually, Miss Hutchings, you do. I'm Dorothy Coleman with Adult Protective Services, and these are Federal Agents Morrison and Chen. We have a warrant for financial records related to elder fraud.
The room erupted. Parents pulled out phones to record. Board members looked stunned. Mildred tried to wheel herself toward the door.
Order. This is still an official hearing.
Nadine's voice cut through the chaos, clear and strong.
You called me worthless, Clifford. Said I never paid attention to anything that mattered. But I see everything. Every Tuesday at 2:37 p.m. when you parked in the school bus only zone at the Sunset Lodge, I was dropping children at stop 3 across the street, every single time.
She turned to face Mildred directly.
And Mildred, while you were forging your sister Agnes's signature on documents draining her $800,000 estate, I was documenting every deposit, every transfer, every lie.
You can't prove anything. This is the rambling of a disturbed woman.
Dorothy stepped forward with a tablet.
Actually, we can prove everything. Mrs. Washington, would you like to explain the signatures on these documents dated last month? Your sister Agnes has been unable to hold a pen for 14 months.
Agent Morrison moved toward Mildred.
Mildred Washington, you're under arrest for wire fraud, elder abuse, and forgery. You have the right to remain silent.
Clifford, do something.
But Clifford was frozen, watching his world collapse. Marla had started crying, mascara running down her cheeks.
There's more. The money Clifford withdrew from our joint accounts, it went directly to accounts controlled by Mildred. The affair was real, but it was also cover for embezzlement. They were planning to leave me with nothing while they ran to Costa Rica.
Eugene stood up in the audience, his phone in hand.
The airline just confirmed 2 tickets to Costa Rica in the names of Mildred Washington and Clifford Washington. Departure date, tomorrow morning.
Dr. Holmes looked overwhelmed, but maintained control.
Given the circumstances, the board finds sufficient evidence of safety violations. We're forwarding all documentation to the district attorney's office. This hearing is adjourned.
As the federal agents led Mildred away, she turned back to Nadine, venom in her eyes.
You've destroyed this family.
No, Mildred, you destroyed it. I just stopped hiding from the truth.
Clifford approached her, his face a mixture of rage and desperation.
42 years, Nadine. Didn't that mean anything to you?
It meant everything to me. That's why I know exactly how much you stole. Every penny is documented, every lie is recorded, every betrayal is evidence.
Dorothy touched her arm gently.
We need your formal statement. With your evidence, Agnes's money will be recovered and returned to her care fund. You've saved her, Nadine.
As they walked from the hearing room, Nadine passed the young parents who'd come for a simple safety meeting and witnessed so much more. One mother touched her hand.
You're the bravest woman I've ever seen.
Not brave, just tired of being invisible.
Outside, the warm May sun felt like a blessing. Eugene waited by his car.
You did it, Nadine. You brought them all down.
We did it. I couldn't have done this alone.
What now?
Now I file for divorce, secure my house, And maybe, for the first time in 42 years, find out who Nadine Washington really is when she's not defined by the people trying to erase her.
Behind them, Clifford was being placed in a police car. Marla sat in another, having confessed Eva. 2 weeks after the hearing, Nadine stood in the doorway of what was now legally her house. The divorce had been expedited given Clifford's criminal charges. He'd signed everything from jail, desperate to avoid additional charges. The house on Maple Street, the savings he hadn't stolen, even his pension benefits, all transferred to her name. But victory felt hollow in the empty rooms. 42 years of memories haunted every corner. She could still smell his aftershave in the bathroom, still see the indent in his recliner, still hear phantom footsteps in the garage.
You sure you want to do this alone?
Eugene stood on the porch, holding a toolbox. He'd offered to help her change the locks, but she'd insisted on hiring a locksmith. Some things needed to be done officially, documented, final.
I need to be alone for this part, but thank you for checking on me.
Dorothy called. Agnes has been moved to a better facility. The recovered funds will cover her care for the rest of her life.
Good, that's good.
The locksmith arrived at 10, a young man who worked quietly while Nadine packed Clifford's belongings. Each shirt folded was a year remembered. Each tool wrapped was a project they'd planned but never completed. She found their wedding photo in his nightstand drawer, her young face glowing with hope. She'd been 23, he'd been 25. Children, really. Playing at being adults. The locksmith finished the front door and moved to the back. New keys gleamed on the kitchen counter. 3 sets, one for her, one for emergencies, one for who? She had no one else who needed access to her life.
All done, ma'am. These are high-security locks. Nobody's getting in without your permission.
After he left, Nadine tested each lock. The solid click of metal sliding home felt like power. She was safe. She was alone. She was free. The emotions tangled together, impossible to separate. A knock interrupted her solitude. Through the peephole, she saw Tom from the bus depot, holding a casserole dish.
Heard you might need some real food. My wife makes too much anyway.
Tom, you didn't have to.
Course I did. 8 years we've been driving together. You think I didn't notice something was wrong? I should have asked sooner. Should have been a better friend.
She accepted the casserole, still warm through the glass dish. They stood awkwardly at the door until she remembered she could invite people in now. Her choice. Her home.
Would you like some coffee?
That'd be nice.
They sat at her kitchen table, the one she'd planned to replace for 20 years, but Clifford always said was fine.
The kids on the bus have been asking about you. When you coming back?
Monday. The district gave me 2 weeks paid leave, but I'm ready to get back to normal.
Normal's gonna look different now.
Everything looks different now.
After Tom left, she found an envelope slipped under the door. No name, no address. Inside, a single sheet of paper with neat handwriting. It was from Marla. The letter read, Mrs. Washington, I know apologies mean nothing, but I need you to know I never meant for it to go this far. It started as just an affair, stupid and selfish. I didn't know about Mildred's scheme until it was too late. The FBI says my testimony will help convict them both. I'm leaving town after the trial. You won't see me again. I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better. You deserved the truth. Marla. Nadine crumpled the letter, then smoothed it out again. Even Marla thought she deserved better. Everyone knew except her. Or maybe she'd known all along, and just chose the comfort of lies over the discomfort of change. The doorbell rang again. This time, it was Dorothy Coleman, looking official with a briefcase.
I have news. Mildred had a stroke in federal custody. She's stable but paralyzed on one side. She won't be standing trial.
What does that mean?
She'll be in medical custody indefinitely. The federal charges still stand, but practically speaking, she's already serving a life sentence. Clifford's taking a plea deal. 18 months minimum, 3 years maximum.
3 years. It seemed both too long and not nearly enough.
There's something else. Agnes is conscious. Not always, but sometimes. She asked for you yesterday.
For me?
She remembers you from family gatherings. Says you were the only one who was ever kind without wanting something. She'd like to see you, if you're willing.
That afternoon, Nadine drove to Agnes's new facility. It was bright, clean, with gardens visible from every window. Agnes was propped up in bed, her eyes clearer than expected.
Nadine, my hero.
I'm no hero, Agnes. I just got angry enough to finally pay attention.
That's what heroes do. They pay attention when everyone else looks away.
Agnes's thin hand found hers.
I knew what she was doing. Some days when the fog cleared, I knew. But I couldn't speak, couldn't write, couldn't warn anyone. Then you appeared like an avenging angel.
It was Dorothy who really...
Dorothy told me everything. You started it all. You refused to be erased.
They sat together quietly. Two women who'd been underestimated, overlooked, nearly destroyed by the people who should have protected them.
What will you do now?
I don't know. For the first time in my life, I genuinely don't know what comes next.
Good. That's when life gets interesting.
Driving home, Nadine passed the Sunset Lodge. It looked smaller somehow, shabbier. Just a run-down motel where desperate people made terrible choices. Stop 3 was just ahead. Tomorrow, she'd be back on the bus, watching children board, keeping them safe. But it would be different now. She would be different. Eugene's car was parked outside her house when she returned. He stood by her door with a pizza box and a bottle of wine.
Thought you might not want to eat alone tonight.
I'm not good company right now.
Neither am I. Been alone since Martha died 5 years ago. Maybe 2 people who aren't good company add up to something better.
She unlocked her new lock and let him in. They ate pizza at her kitchen table and talked about nothing important. He didn't mention the case, the hearing, or Clifford. Instead, he told her about his garden, his grandchildren in Oregon, his plan to finally read all those books Martha had left behind.
Eugene, why did you really help me?
Because I spent 30 years watching people get destroyed by predators. Usually, by the time I got involved, it was too late. This time, I could help before everything was lost.
Everything was lost. My marriage, my trust, my sense of who I was.
No, you lost illusions. You kept your house, your dignity, your future, and you saved Agnes. That's not nothing, Nadine.
After he left, she stood in her bedroom, looking at the empty space where Clifford's dresser had been. Tomorrow, she'd move her own dresser there, spread out, claim the space. Tonight, she'd sleep in the middle of the bed for the first time in 42 years. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, then remembered she had nothing left to fear.
Nadine.
His voice from the jail phone was hollow, defeated.
You have 1 minute.
I just wanted to say, I'm taking the plea deal. 3 years. I won't fight the divorce terms. You can have everything.
I already have everything. The judge signed it yesterday.
I know I destroyed us. I know there's no forgiveness for what I did. But I need you to know, once upon a time, I did love you.
Once upon a time doesn't pay the bills, Clifford. Once upon a time doesn't undo the lies.
I know. I'm sorry, Nadine.
So am I. Goodbye, Clifford.
She hung up and deleted his number. Outside, summer rain had started falling, washing the dust from the windows. She made herself tea and sat by the window, watching the world go by. For the first time in decades, she had no one to answer to, no one to wait for, no one to serve. Tomorrow, she'd return to her bus route. The children would board at stop 1 through stop 14, same as always. She'd count heads and check seatbelts and be their invisible guardian. But she would no longer be invisible to herself. The woman who'd spent 42 years disappearing had finally, fully, powerfully appeared. The new locks clicked as she checked them one last time before bed. Safe, secure. Hers. The revolution was complete. The new life had begun.
Thank you for listening to this complete audiobook. If this story touched you, please subscribe and like this video to support more quality audiobook content. Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. Hit the bell for notifications about our next story. See you in the next audiobook.